What's up, y'all? KR Magic back with another NBA 2K21 video for you, but this one is a little bit different than some of the other stuff that I've done. When I first started, there was a bunch of content coming out on the channel, right? And now there's been a little bit of a gap in the content, and there's a reason for that. And it's not just because MLB The Show is out on Xbox now, though that is a little part of it. No, a big part of it for me is the content, because recently this happened. And this happened. Then there's this.
This is unacceptable!
Really? I mean, what are we doing here? What am I looking at? What is this?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
On April 23rd, 2K released the brand new Warped Reality set. Now, when this season started, people were afraid they were going to be dropping, I don't know, 6'8" Dwayne Wade or whatever. But eventually we did get to something a little bit out of the norm. And that's, 3, 6, 7 or up point guards who could shoot.
Simmons, as the quarter's about to end.
Come on now,
Dog. Come on.
You got Shaq and Bol, 7-footers who could do it all.
No way we're witnessing Shaquille O'Neal.
Goodbye.
Eddie Curry, even, as a budget option. I mean, even the budget cards in this set change the game for anybody below that top tier level player. And for me, that's not really what I'm looking for. But I'm not really the majority. I mean, I gotta realize when I go to play 2K that I have a specific perspective that I'm looking at it from. There's some things that I want from the game. And I think we should all keep that in mind when we criticize 2K or the community or something like that. Not everyone sees everything from the same perspective that we do. While I find these cards pretty unpleasant and think they make the game less fun, a lot of people really, really like them. And there's some people who agree with me, but a lot of people, they're really happy to see these cards. So I went to the MyTeam subreddit to find out what other people thought about the Warped Reality cards and if they like how they impacted the game. Gozak99, I think, was one of the first people to reply. Yes, honestly, shooting threes with Shaq is so fun and ridiculous. LOL, I love it. Oswewe said, they keep it fresh insofar as I play mostly offline. There's not much challenge in using star level versions of the players who are either super young, Okoro, Bol, Achua, or Bus, Winslow, and therefore haven't become or never became stars in real life. Brings a lot of the fantasy element for me. Bezos' daddy says, I do, and it brings a lot of people to the mode to keep it alive. Huff27 says, my favorite set by far. The amethysts are all amazing. The diamonds and pink diamonds are amazing. The galaxy opals are solid and good, and the dark matters are game breaking. Gotham FC says the new Steph plays exactly like he does in real life. It's so much fun hitting circus shots with him. And this is when Steph was going crazy in the league.
And I'm counting on it. Early in the year, they couldn't have executed that play. Wet. Curry with the three, and an opportunity for a 4-point play.
Jimmy Runs It, honestly, had a ton of fun so far. I love Precious, Curry, Okoro, and just got Sim, and he's a blast. Pound Forum 17 says, this new Caruso card is everything I've wanted all year. Pretty great set as a whole, too. Random name 63667 said something I thought was really interesting. They said, yes, it got boring when we had no more juice cards. Everything felt the same. So I asked them, how come you think you felt like the game was boring before this? And they replied, because it's been 5 months and it reached a point where all the realistic cards were becoming the same thing and there was no variety. Like Wiggins and Sealy were the same cards. They reached their peak. All of this doesn't even get to the fact that these are some of the most competitive cards. And for a lot of competitive players, they need the game to continue to progress in power level as the seasons go on. They need something to keep improving their teams and to strive for, to try and obtain, right? They need to have different matchups to make the game feel lively, interesting, So for competitive players, getting these kind of top tier cards is awesome. And for players who want lower tier cards, there were plenty of good ones that were getting frequently pulled, and I'm sure are available at a very affordable price right now on the market, that are great cards. Very strong, powerful cards. So what's the problem? So for me, I feel like there are probably two major issues that I think make it not fun when these types of cards come out. Let's take a look at the thread, because some of the other posters kind of spoke to some of the concerns that I have, and so I'll be able to enumerate them. But this is another one that I think isn't a big one for me, but A. Felsness says, nope, fuck this Space Jam shit with 3-point shooting Shaq and Simmons and overpowered Bol. Cards should do what they do in real life, or what they did in real life. That's not a big factor for me. You know, I've come to accept that this is an arcade mode. It's not play now. Is it as arcadey as NBA Jam or NBA Street or even like, you know, the park? Not quite. I've come to accept the fact that this is not simulation basketball, and it's not intended to be. But I will say I feel like there is a little bit of a balance. You know, there's always a balance between finding gameplay mechanics that are fun and that are realistic, and like trying to figure out what that looks like, because you could have a game where people could do all sorts of crazy stuff and it still might not be fun. But I think you have to take out some of the realism to make it fun. So like, I think in the game, people are better 3-point shooters than they are, and better dunkers than they are, and that's in the name of fun. So I think that's healthy. But I do think there's a line that maybe doesn't need to be crossed as far as getting crazy with players who can't do stuff. Like, I don't know, it doesn't bother me, I guess, that they come out with a glitch John Stockton that can dunk like crazy. That's fun. Or that Terry Dissinger, who obviously didn't play like he does in this game, or John Havlicek, like, it's fine that they get updated and play with modern dribble moves and modern dunk packages and stuff. Like, I think they should be put into the modern game for the sense of continuity between these modern stars and these older players. Otherwise, they just wouldn't be able to compete. But there's something about, you know, Bol, who frankly has done almost nothing in the NBA, and odds are probably won't really do anything in the NBA. Could I be wrong? Sure. I'm not trying to say the guy's not talented and has a very unique skill set. That's all true. But I think you got to say that the betting odds favor that Bol will never be a notable player in the league outside of his unique skill set. That's just the way that it is. And now he looks like one of the best players in the game. I mean, we know that stuff's going to happen. Eddie Curry is back as, again, one of the best players in the game for some damn reason. Look at how good J.R. Smith is in 2K every year, even though in the league, he wasn't all that. He wasn't like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to joke in 3-Point Shots Twitch chat, find you someone who thinks you are as good as 2K thinks Cam Reddish is. Because we keep getting fire Cam Reddish cards, and this dude, he barely a starter level player in the NBA. But so the realism factor, though, isn't the big one for me. Let's look at some of the other stuff that people said in this Reddit thread, because I think it gets to some of the point. You know, CJ Sue, Lord knows if I'm saying that the way that they intended, it had a pretty long post, and I think it's interesting. So I encourage you to go to the thread and read it. That'll be linked in the description below. You know, they said, I absolutely despise 2K for these types of cards. They take any realism that the MyTeam game mode has and throws it in the trash. But that's not what I want to get to. Really, what they said that's really interesting to me is that it'd be more fun, in my opinion, if players had realistic attributes. This would still lead to some major mismatches. For example, Giannis at center would be untouchable based on his speed alone. I still think the game would be more enjoyable, though, if players really had to use cards to their strengths, make more diverse cards with strengths and flaws. I find the early parts of the game, you know, maybe like the second month through the third month, those parts are the best part for me. And one of the reasons I like limited is because cards that have flaws make you make choices. When you have a card that, for example, is a great defender and nice interior scorer, but is kind of slow and can't shoot, you have to decide, is that trade-off worth it for me? You know, if it's a power forward, for example, am I willing to put a player like that on the floor? And if I do, because I want to get the benefits of their great defense and interior scoring, how can I build the rest of my lineup around them to compensate for that? You know, if I'm going to play a small, really fast point guard who can shoot, but is not a great finisher and not a great defender, you know, maybe someone like a Chris Paul or a Jarrett Jack in this game or something like that, you know, how am I going to compensate for that issue? Remember we were all playing Pink Diamond Curry, and when you would play against a good lineup with a good player, part of the game was about hiding Curry on defense. You know, if you're not playing it against another Curry, you got to put Curry on somebody he can guard because he was undersized. That's just the way of it. And that was strategic and fun to try and figure out. How do I make my lineups work so these players make sense given their strengths and their flaws? To me, that's interesting. It also makes for diverse matchups because when you play against somebody, you have to assess what their strengths and their flaws are. How can I take advantage of this player? You know, if I see this player who's a great interior scorer and defender but can't shoot, how can I adjust my defensive strategy? How can I play my matchups to take advantage of that? Maybe I need to switch my center onto that player. Maybe I need to switch my best help defender onto that player and just help out all around them. You know, maybe I double down off of them and let them try and shoot or something like that. Those kind of strategic adjustments to me are interesting. They make for a fun game and they make for a diverse experience. When you load into a game, you don't have to think I'm going to play the same game every time. And that brings me to the biggest thing about these cards that troubles me. So to give context, the way 2K is right now, there's basically one predominant style of play, right? And that's almost always going to be true in a meta, but this is not a particularly well-designed meta game. It is one dominant style of play on current gen. 5 out, speed boost, 3 hunt. Like that's it. Pick and roll, right? You know the stuff. You see everybody do it. Run the press going the other way. Try and play the lanes or whatever, right? It's the same thing. And yeah, maybe you get a little bit of different lineup here or there. Maybe you get someone who doesn't press. Maybe you get someone who uses a different set of dribble moves or whatnot. But for the most part, everyone's trying to activate Showtime dunks or get 3-pointers, and they're trying to do it in the same way that everybody else does it. Is there always going to be a best option? Probably. A perfectly designed game or really, really well-designed game doesn't suffer from that. I mean, you could probably think of a lot of games where there are multiple options that are the best. Or if there is one option that's the best, there is some counter to it. And that counter may be kind of weak against everything else, so nobody really uses it, but it's an option. There is some sort of counterplay to the dominant strategy. And that just doesn't exist in 2K. So that's part of the problem is there's no game balance. There's one optimal way to play. And a big part of that to me is the power of the speed glitch, but also, you know, the power of the 5 out, the inability to play help defense or stay in front of people. Like all that stuff is kind of tricky. The thing with these players and these cards is that this is the beginning of the worst part of the game to me, which is where everybody is the same, right? So Shaq is 7'2" or whatever. Ben Simmons is 6'10". But guess what? Everybody's getting the same animations. Everybody's getting every badge. Everybody's rocking 50 Hall of Fames, 20 golds. They have every badge. All their shots are on quick. Everybody's got the best dribble packages. Everybody who is eligible to curry is currying, right? Everybody, right? It's the same. And when you end up with a lineup where everybody is 6'10" through 7'2", and can do everything on the court, defend on the perimeter, block shots, attack the basket, dunk, shoot threes, dribble. When everybody can do that, everybody's fast, right? Suddenly you're just playing a game of 5 of the same dude against 5 of the same dude. And the only thing that separates them, like even slightly, maybe a little bit of the badges and the jump shot animation. I'm not trying to play jump shot animation selector 2K21. That's not interesting to me. And I don't want to load up into every game where everybody's playing the same style and might as well have the same lineup because all 5 dudes do all the same things. That's not fun to me. There's no decisions involved anymore. You don't have to think about what are the strengths and weaknesses of my team. You don't have to think about how am I going to adjust to what my opponent's doing. They're going to do the same thing and all their players are going to be the same. And chances are all your players are going to be the same. If I told you you could play NBA 2K21, but there was only one offense and every player was the same guy, right? Maybe it's, I don't know, it's Kobe Bryant, right? Every player is Galaxy Opal Kobe Bryant. 10 Kobe Bryants on the court. One offensive style. No other options, right? Nobody would want to play that game. That's not fun. I get it. I'm different than most people in that I like a lot of the analytical side, the tactical side of basketball. That's really interesting to me, and I know that that's not for everyone. So I don't want to say that like this is inherently bad and unhealthy for the game, because like someone said in that Reddit thread, there are a lot of people who this is what they play my team for. This is what gets them to buy packs. 2K is always going to do what gets you to engage with the game and spend money on the game. All right, the best thing you can do is buy stuff on the game, and the second best thing you can do on the game for them is play the game. You think they don't know how much you play the game? You think they don't have the analytics on how much time everybody spends in every mode, how much engagement people have with the game? You know they have every piece of data on every behavior you do when you're logged into 2K. And that data goes to the advertisers. That's how they sell their sponsorships. They say, hey, did you know that player engagement was up X amount when we released these packs? We need to release more packs like this, because then we can say to the advertisers, yo, you need to pay even more money because engagement's going up. Players are spending more time on the game. They're always going to do that. That's fine. But part of what should make players play the game is that the game is good and well designed and healthy. And a lot of people really like this style of play. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think we're going to see what's referred to as power creep. For those who aren't familiar, power creep is like adds an escalation of the strength of the cards in the game, or whatever the entities are within the game. They did tone it back this year. I think it took a lot longer to get to this point this year than it had in previous years, and I think that's good. It's more time to enjoy. And I think that some of these issues can be solved with ranked and unranked play, with a limited mode that really feels limited rather than like corny. Those are efforts, I think, to create a space where it isn't about having, these super powered cards. But for right now, that's most of what the game is. And for me, it's just not what I want. So I've said my piece about where 2K is basically the end of the road for me. I mean, I've found very little motivation to get in there. I skipped a whole limited weekend, which is like, I never do that. I didn't even get my logins on the Packs Only account, because like usually I'm just logging in, getting my stuff done, doing my XP. But like, I have no motivation to do that because the game for me is ostensibly over. But for a lot of people, they are hyped, and that's good on them. Like, I want people to be hyped, but ultimately I want the game to be something that's satisfying for a lot of people, and I think that's within reach. Obviously, personally, I hope I don't get left behind. I don't want to get left behind by 2K. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want a game that is not enjoyable for me. Selfishly, I don't really want to jam with these cards, but I get that a lot of people do. So I'm not going to come down too hard and say this is the wrong call for 2K. I just wanted to lay out like how I've been feeling about it, how I think other people are feeling about it, and get your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are the warped reality cards, are the superpower cards? I mean, we're going to get more of these coming down the pipeline. Don't you worry. Are these cards fun for you? Do you think they make the game better? What do you think would make the game more fun for you? And I encourage you, in general, when you're thinking about 2K, to not just think about your own personal perspective. There are a lot of people who play this game for a lot of reasons. The devs have to try and cater to everybody. I think that's part of 2K's downfall in some ways. Try and do a little too much for everybody, satisfy everybody, leave everybody unsatisfied instead. But a lot of different people with a lot of different interests, even within just the MyTeam mode, which is probably the most valuable property they have. Maybe Park has a higher participation rate. I don't know, but I'd love to see some data on that, 2K. If you could hook your boy up, you know what I'm saying? Just give me a little bit of info on what's what. But as it is, give me your thoughts down below in the comments, or tweet at me. You can hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter is linked down below as well. Happy to discuss, or get at me on Reddit. I mean, the Reddit thread is down there too. So, I'm interested in what y'all think about these cards and the state of the game where it is right now. That's going to be it for me on this video. I know it sounds sad, that it's frustrating for me to not be able to want to play as much, but I'm still planning on doing some content. like I said, I'm playing MLB The Show. I'm probably going to start doing some MLB The Show content, and maybe I will find a way to do some 2K content that I think is interesting, even if it's not necessarily about me playing my team anymore. I don't know whether it'll be playing other modes, doing my league sims or something like that, or maybe it'll just be about discussions about the game. I'm also planning on doing some of the MyTeam rewards in video form. So, awarding the best cards of the season in the game and the superlatives. That'll be here on this channel. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all joining me. Make sure to hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We gotta show the YouTube algorithm that a little creator like me can get through. And also that subscribe button if you have not and enjoyed the content. Otherwise, this is KR Magic signing off. May the pack gods be good to you.